What if I told you that while everyone's throwing their life savings at overpriced Supras and Skylines, there are 5 cars sitting in used lots right now that are about to explode in value and nobody's talking about them? I'm talking about cars you can still buy for the price of a decent laptop that in 5 years will make early Bitcoin investors look like amateurs. These aren't your grandma's forgotten sedans. Well, actually, one of them is your grandma's car, and that's exactly why it's brilliant. Stick around, because number 3 on this list is so underrated, even its own manufacturer forgot it existed, and that's precisely why you need to know about it. Let's dive in.
So, number 5 on our list is a car that's so overlooked, most people walk past it in parking lots without a second glance. And that, my friends, is automotive gold. We're talking about the 2012 Mitsubishi ASX. And before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, hear me out, because this little Japanese crossover is about to become your secret weapon in the used car market. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mitsubishi? Really? Aren't they the company that gave up on half the world's markets? And you're absolutely right, which is exactly why this car is brilliant. See, Mitsubishi might have pulled out of several regions, but they left behind something incredibly valuable. A compact crossover that was built during their We Still Care era, right before they decided to become the automotive equivalent of a band that only tours in 3 cities. The ASX is like that friend who peaked in high school but actually had real talent. Everyone forgot about them, but if you look closely, they've been quietly winning at life this whole time. Here's the deal. The 2012 ASX was engineered during Mitsubishi's partnership era, sharing its platform with the Peugeot 4008 and Citroën C4 Aircross. This wasn't some rushed project. This was a globally minded crossover designed to compete everywhere, from the streets of Tokyo to the Australian outback. And that global ambition means one critical thing. It was built to last, not just to lease. Under that conservative, almost boring exterior, you've got Mitsubishi's legendary 4-cylinder engines, the 1.8 naturally aspirated or the 2.0 depending on your market. These aren't turbocharged complexity nightmares. These are old-school, under-stressed workhorses that happily tick past 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat. Mitsubishi learned their engine-building skills from decades of rally racing and making cars survive in places where the nearest mechanic is a 2-day camel ride away. That reliability DNA runs deep. The all-wheel drive system, when equipped, is pure Mitsubishi brilliance, descended from their rally-bred expertise. It's not flashy, it doesn't have 17 driving modes with names like Snow Leopard Attack Mode. It just works, quietly, efficiently, like a Japanese appliance that'll outlive your mortgage. Now here's where it gets interesting from a value perspective. Right now, you can pick up a clean 2012 ASX for anywhere between $4,000 and $8,000, depending on mileage and condition. That's less than a decent motorcycle. But crossovers, especially reliable, practical ones, are becoming automotive gold. The market has realized that not everyone needs a massive SUV, and compact crossovers hit that sweet spot of practicality, efficiency, and capability. As Mitsubishi's presence fades in many markets, parts compatibility with Peugeot and Citroën models in some regions actually makes maintenance easier and cheaper than you think. Plus, the enthusiast community for overlooked Japanese cars is growing every single day. People are tired of paying Civic Type R money for cars with half the engineering integrity. But, and this is crucial, there are specific things you need to watch out for when hunting for your ASX. First and foremost, check the CVT transmission if the model has one. Some markets got the CVT, others got traditional automatics or manuals. The CVT models can be problematic if they haven't had regular fluid changes. If the transmission hesitates, shudders, or makes whining noises, walk away immediately. A manual transmission model is your safest bet, and honestly, more fun anyway. Second, inspect the sunroof drains religiously. These can clog up and cause water to leak into the interior, leading to electrical gremlins and that lovely smell of mildew that no air freshener can mask. Pop the headliner if you can and look for water stains. Run your hand along the carpets, especially in the rear footwells. Damp carpet equals future headaches. Third, check for oil leaks around the valve cover gasket. It's not a catastrophic issue, but it's common on higher mileage examples and gives you negotiating power. A little seepage is normal for a 12-year-old car, but active dripping means a repair bill is coming. The suspension bushings are another wear item to inspect. Jack up the car if possible and check for play in the control arms and any cracking in the rubber bushings. Again, not deal breakers, but ammunition for negotiation. Look, the 2012 Mitsubishi ASX won't make you Instagram famous. Your neighbors won't gather around it at Cars and Coffee. But in 5 years, when crossover prices have climbed even higher and people are desperately seeking reliable, affordable alternatives to bloated modern SUVs, you'll be sitting on an appreciating asset that cost you less than a used iPhone. It's the automotive equivalent of buying Amazon stock in 2001. Boring? Maybe. Brilliant? Absolutely. But if Japanese crossovers aren't exotic enough for your taste, don't worry, because our next car comes from a country famous for wine, cheese, and making cars that are equal parts genius and gloriously weird.
That's right, we're heading to France, and I can already hear the comments. French cars? Are you insane? Those things fall apart if you look at them wrong. Well, buckle up, because I'm about to completely shatter everything you think you know about French automotive engineering. Car number 4 is the Renault Clio, specifically the 3rd and 4th generation models. And this little hatchback is about to make a lot of hot hatch snobs very, very uncomfortable. Here's a fact that'll blow your mind. The Renault Clio is one of Europe's best-selling cars of all time. We're talking over 15 million units sold since its debut. You don't move that kind of volume by making garbage. You do it by creating something that works, day in and day out, through Scandinavian winters and Mediterranean summers, in the hands of teenage drivers and retired teachers alike. The Clio is like that French restaurant in your city that tourists ignore because they think French food is all snails and pretension, but locals pack the place every night because the chef actually knows what they're doing. Everyone's sleeping on it while the smart money is already inside, enjoying the feast. Let's talk about why the Clio is secretly one of the smartest purchases in the used market right now. First off, this car was engineered to dominate European B-segment racing. The Clio Cup racing series has been running since the 90s, and you don't build a successful race car from a platform that's fundamentally flawed. The chassis dynamics on these cars are absolutely sublime. We're talking about a hot hatch that can genuinely embarrass cars costing 3 times as much on a twisty road. The engine lineup is where Renault really flexed their engineering muscles. You've got the bulletproof 1.2 and 1.6 naturally aspirated petrol engines that are about as exciting as watching paint dry, but will run forever on nothing but oil changes and good intentions. Then there's the legendary 1.5 DCI diesel engine, which is genuinely one of the greatest small diesel engines ever created. This thing delivers mind-blowing fuel economy, pulls like a freight train from low revs, and if maintained properly, it'll outlast the heat death of the universe. Renault put this engine in everything from tiny city cars to full-size vans, and there's a reason for that. It works. But here's where it gets really interesting. If you find a Clio RS, the Renault Sport version, you're looking at a proper performance bargain. These came with Renault's incredible 2.0 naturally aspirated engine, making around 200 horsepower, a limited slip differential, and handling that made automotive journalists weep with joy. Right now, these are still affordable because everyone's chasing Golf GTIs and Civic Si models. But mark my words, in 3 years, clean Clio RS examples will be commanding serious money, and you'll wish you'd grabbed one when they were cheap. Even the regular Clio models are appreciating in the right circles. The quirky French charm, the surprisingly upscale interiors for the class, and the fact that they're genuinely fun to drive means they're becoming cult favorites among younger enthusiasts who are priced out of the classic Japanese market. I've seen clean, low-mileage 3rd-gen Clios selling for double what they cost just 2 years ago in certain markets.
Renault's build quality during the mid-2000s to 2010s era was actually excellent. They'd learned from their mistakes in the 90s, and these cars were engineered to meet strict European safety and reliability standards. The interior materials hold up remarkably well. The electrics are far more robust than the stereotype suggests, and the rust protection is genuinely impressive for a car in this price range. Now, let's talk about what you absolutely must check before handing over your cash, because French cars do have their quirks, and being smart about this purchase is crucial. Number 1 on your inspection list, the electrical window regulators. These can fail, especially on the driver's side, and while it's not expensive to fix, it's annoying. Test every window multiple times. If you hear clicking, grinding, or the window moves slowly, factor in a replacement. The door lock mechanisms can also act up on higher mileage examples. Make sure the central locking works flawlessly from the key fob and the interior controls. A failing lock actuator isn't the end of the world, but again, it's negotiating leverage. For the diesel models, and this is absolutely critical, check the dual mass flywheel and clutch condition. When these Clios are driven gently their whole lives, the DMF can wear prematurely. If you feel any vibration through the clutch pedal at idle, or if there's a rattling noise when you start the engine, that's a failing flywheel, and it's an expensive repair. Also, listen for any smoke on startup. A puff of blue or black smoke that clears quickly is normal for a diesel, but continuous smoking means turbo or injector problems. On the petrol models, particularly the turbo ones, check for oil consumption. Renault's early turbo engines could be a bit thirsty for oil if driven hard. Pull the dipstick and check the level. Look under the oil filler cap for sludge buildup, which indicates poor maintenance. A well-maintained Clio will have a clean, golden brown oil filler cap. Black, crusty buildup means someone skipped services, and you should skip that car. Inspect the rear shock absorbers carefully. Jack up the rear and bounce it. If it keeps bouncing more than once, the shocks are done. Also, while you're under there, check the exhaust hangers. French cars are notorious for rubber exhaust mounts perishing, which causes annoying rattles and buzzing at certain RPMs. One more critical thing, verify the service history, especially for cam belt changes. Most Clio engines are interference designs, meaning if that cam belt snaps, you're looking at a complete engine rebuild. The service interval is typically every 5 years or 75,000 miles, whichever comes first. If there's no proof of a recent cam belt change and the car is approaching or past that interval, factor in $600 to $800 for the job. Here's the beautiful truth about the Clio. It's a car that rewards knowledge. If you do your homework, inspect carefully, and buy smart, you're getting a genuinely entertaining, well-engineered European hatchback for pennies on the dollar. It's stylish enough to not look like you've given up on life, practical enough for daily duties, and if you snag an RS model, fast enough to surprise some very expensive metal at track days. While everyone's overpaying for tired Volkswagens because of badge snobbery, you'll be carving corners in a car that French racing drivers trusted with their careers, spending half the money and having twice the fun. That's not just value, that's victory. But if European flair still seems too risky for your taste, don't go anywhere, because our next car comes from a brand that built its entire reputation on reliability, and then made one model so good, so under the radar, that even die-hard fans of the brand forget it exists.
All right, we've hit the halfway point, and car number 3 is where things get really spicy. We're talking about a nameplate that makes enthusiasts salivate, a car with rally pedigree that runs so deep it practically bleeds championship trophies. But here's the twist that nobody sees coming. I'm not talking about the WRX or the STI. Those are money pits that every vape-loving, backwards cap-wearing kid has already discovered and destroyed. I'm talking about the regular, boring, base model Subaru Impreza, and it might just be the smartest all-wheel drive investment you can make right now. Wait,
Don't click away. I know the base Impreza sounds about as exciting as unsalted crackers, but stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you look at the used car market. This is the car equivalent of finding out that the quiet kid in class actually owns 3 rental properties and retired at 35. The base Impreza is what happens when Subaru's engineers finish building a rally weapon, look at all that incredible technology, and think, you know what, let's put 90% of this brilliance into a grocery getter and charge half the price. It's automotive socialism, and I'm absolutely here for it. Here's what nobody tells you about the regular Impreza, particularly models from the mid-2000s through the 2010s. You're getting Subaru's legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive system, the same fundamental architecture that dominates winter rally stages and makes mountain roads look easy. This isn't some front-wheel drive biased pretender that only sends power rearward when the front wheels are already spinning. This is full-time, proper mechanical all-wheel drive that splits power continuously. The same basic system that cost you 40 grand in a WRX, you're getting it for a fraction of that price, just without the turbo headaches and boy racer insurance premiums. The naturally aspirated boxer engines in these base models are absolutely bulletproof. The 2.0 and 2.5-liter flat-4 engines produce modest power, sure, somewhere around 140 to 170 horsepower depending on the year, but they'll do it reliably for 300,000 miles if you treat them with even basic respect. No turbo seals to fail, no intercoolers to leak, no boost controllers to mess with, just smooth, linear power delivery and that distinctive Subaru rumble that reminds you every morning that you're driving something special, even if Karen at the office doesn't realize it. Now here's where the value proposition gets absolutely insane. Clean, unmolested base Imprezas are becoming genuinely rare. Everyone who wanted all-wheel drive performance bought the WRX and then proceeded to modify it into oblivion. But the sensible folks who bought the base model, they drove them in snow, maintained them properly, and kept them stock. These survivors are now exactly what the market craves: reliable all-wheel drive platforms with no modifications, no abuse, and clean histories. The used market is waking up to this. I've watched base Impreza prices climb 20 to 30% in just the last 18 months, particularly for the hatchback models, which are becoming increasingly desirable. The wagon versions, especially in manual transmission, are approaching cult status among people who understand that practicality and capability don't require boy racer aesthetics. But, and this is absolutely crucial, Subarus have specific issues you must understand before buying, because while these cars are reliable, they're not invincible, and knowing what to look for separates a great purchase from a catastrophic money pit. First and foremost, the head gaskets. If you've heard anything about Subarus, you've heard about head gasket failures, and yes, they're real, particularly on the 2.5-liter engines from the late 90s through around 2011. Here's how you check. Start the engine cold if possible and look for any white smoke from the exhaust. That's coolant burning, which means the head gasket is compromised. Check the coolant reservoir for any oily residue floating on top. Open the oil filler cap and look for a milky, chocolate milk-colored residue, which indicates coolant mixing with oil. If the car's already had the head gaskets replaced with multi-layer steel gaskets, that's actually a huge plus because it's been done properly and won't need doing again. Next, inspect for oil leaks thoroughly. The valve cover gaskets leak on higher mileage examples, which is messy but not serious. However, check the rear main seal and the oil pan gasket. Oil dripping from the back of the engine or pooling under the car after it's been parked indicates these seals are failing. Neither is cheap to fix because the labor is intensive. The all-wheel drive system is generally robust, but you need to verify that the previous owner maintained it correctly. Subaru specifies regular differential fluid changes, and people skip this all the time. Test drive the car and make sure there's no binding or chattering when making tight turns at low speeds. That indicates differential or center coupling issues, which are expensive nightmares. Also, mismatched tires are death to Subaru's all-wheel drive system. All 4 tires must be the same brand, model, and within acceptable tread depth variants. If someone's running different tires on different axles, they've potentially damaged the drivetrain. Check the timing belt religiously on models that have them. Some years use timing chains, others use belts, so research your specific year. If it's a belt-driven engine, verify the service history. These are interference engines, meaning a snapped belt equals bent valves and a destroyed motor. The replacement interval is typically around 100,000 miles or 7 years. No proof of replacement, and you're at or past the interval. Factor in $1,000 minimum for the belt, water pump, and associated components. Suspension bushings wear out, particularly the control arm bushings and the rear subframe bushings. Have someone rock the steering wheel back and forth while you watch the front wheels. Excessive play or clunking means worn bushings. Check the rear differential bushings by having someone gently apply throttle in gear while you watch from behind. If the differential visibly shifts or clunks, those bushings are shot. Rust is the enemy, especially in snowbelt regions where salt is used heavily. Get under the car with a flashlight and really examine the exhaust, the undercarriage, and particularly the fuel and brake lines. Surface rust is fine, but flaking, scaling rust, or any perforations mean walk away immediately. Subarus from rust belt areas can look perfect on the outside while rotting from underneath. One final thing that people overlook: the manual transmission models are significantly more reliable and more valuable than the CVT automatics that Subaru started using in later years. Those early CVTs have a questionable reliability record and expensive replacement costs. If you're buying a newer Impreza with a CVT, verify that the transmission fluid has been changed at the recommended intervals, which most owners ignore. The bottom line, the base Subaru Impreza gives you legitimate all-weather capability, bulletproof mechanical engineering when maintained correctly, and practicality that makes daily life genuinely easier, all while flying completely under the radar of the tuna crowd that's destroyed the value equation on the performance models. You get 90% of the WRX's capability for 40% of the price and maintenance headaches. This is the car you buy when you're smart enough to know that the best investment isn't always the flashiest one. It's the one that works every day in every condition without drama or excuses. That's not boring, that's brilliant. But if Japanese engineering still feels too mainstream, hold tight, because our next car comes from a country that most people associate with luxury and precision. But this particular model is so weird, so misunderstood, that it's become car kryptonite in the used market. And that's exactly why you need to pay attention.
Car number 2 is going to make some of you angry, and I'm completely okay with that. We're talking about the Nissan Rogue, specifically the second-generation models from around 2014 to 2020, and I can already hear keyboards clicking as people rush to the comments to tell me I've completely lost the plot. But here's the thing. While you're busy hating on this car because the internet told you to, smart buyers are quietly scooping up depreciated examples and laughing all the way to the bank. The Nissan Rogue is the most misunderstood vehicle in the compact crossover segment, and that misunderstanding has created one of the greatest value opportunities in the entire used market right now. This is a car that sold over 400,000 units per year at its peak, making it one of the best-selling SUVs in history. Yet somehow, the narrative became that it's unreliable junk. Let me tell you why that narrative is not just wrong, it's creating your opportunity. The Rogue is like that restaurant with a 1-star review from someone who got mad they didn't serve breakfast at dinner time, while everyone else quietly enjoys fantastic food at half the price of the trendy place next door. The hate is so disproportionate to reality that it's actually become an advantage for informed buyers. Let's destroy some myths right now. Yes, Nissan's CVT transmissions have had issues. Everyone knows this. It's been beaten to death across every car forum on the internet. But here's what nobody bothers to mention. Nissan extended the warranty on these transmissions multiple times, and the second-generation Rogue, particularly models from 2017 onwards, received significant CVT improvements that dramatically enhanced reliability. We're talking re-engineered valve bodies, improved fluid cooling, and better programming. These aren't the problematic CVTs from the first-generation models. The Rogue's 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine is actually a masterpiece of reliable, efficient engineering. It's part of Nissan's QR engine family, which has been in production since 2000 and has proven itself across millions of vehicles globally. This engine produces around 170 horsepower, delivers excellent fuel economy in the high 20s to low 30s mpg combined, and when maintained properly will easily surpass 200,000 miles. It's not exciting, but neither is paying for engine rebuilds. Here's where the value equation becomes absolutely ridiculous. Because of the CVT stigma, second-generation Rogues have depreciated faster than almost any comparable crossover. You can find 3 to 5-year-old examples with under 60,000 miles for $10,000 to $14,000. Compare that to a Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 of the same age and mileage, which will cost you $5,000 to $8,000 more minimum. For what? Slightly better resale value and the warm, fuzzy feeling of owning a brand the internet approves of? The Rogue offers genuinely impressive interior space, particularly rear legroom and cargo capacity that rivals vehicles in the next size class up. The seats are comfortable for long drives, the ride quality is soft and compliant without being floaty, and the features list is generous, even on mid-trim models. You're getting things like panoramic sunroofs, heated seats, advanced safety technology, and quality infotainment systems that crossovers costing significantly more were still charging extra for. Now, let's talk about how to buy a Rogue intelligently, because while I'm defending this vehicle, I'm not saying you should buy blindly. The CVT is still the primary concern, and you need to be methodical about checking it. During your test drive, pay close attention to how the transmission behaves. It should be completely smooth and virtually imperceptible during acceleration. Any shuddering, jerking, hesitation, or whining noises are immediate red flags. Walk away without negotiation if you feel anything abnormal. Check the transmission fluid condition if possible. Nissan specifies CVT fluid changes, and while they initially claimed lifetime fluid, that's nonsense. The fluid should be changed every 60,000 miles, period. If the seller can't provide proof of fluid services, that's a significant concern. The fluid should be bright and clean, not dark or smelling burnt. Dark, burnt-smelling CVT fluid means the transmission has been overheated and is living on borrowed time. Verify that any outstanding recalls or service campaigns have been completed. Nissan issued several service campaigns related to CVT software updates and other components. A quick VIN check through Nissan's website will tell you if there are open campaigns. If there are, make sure they're completed before purchase or use them as negotiation leverage. Inspect the front struts carefully. The Rogue can develop strut leaks on higher mileage examples, which affects ride quality and handling. Look for oil streaks on the strut bodies and bounce each corner of the vehicle. If it bounces more than once, the struts are worn. Also, check for any clunking over bumps, which indicates worn strut mounts. The air conditioning system can develop issues, particularly with the condenser being prone to damage from road debris because of its location. Test the AC thoroughly, making sure it blows ice cold and that there are no unusual noises from the compressor. A failing AC compressor will make grinding or squealing noises and blow warm air. Replacement isn't cheap, so this needs to work perfectly. Check all the electronics meticulously. The Rogue has a lot of electronic features, and while they're generally reliable, when things go wrong, they can be expensive to diagnose and repair. Test every button, every feature, the backup camera, the sensors, everything. Make sure the infotainment system responds quickly and doesn't freeze or glitch. Examine the wheel wells and rocker panels for rust, especially if you're looking at vehicles from areas with harsh winters and road salt. Nissan's rust protection is decent, but not magical. Look for any bubbling paint or surface rust that might indicate bigger problems underneath. Also, check that all the body panels align properly and that there are no signs of accident damage or poorly done repairs. One thing that's non-negotiable: get a pre-purchase inspection from a mechanic who knows Nissans and specifically knows CVT issues. Spend the $150 for peace of mind. A good mechanic can spot warning signs that you might miss, and if the seller refuses to allow an inspection, that tells you everything you need to know.
Here's what makes the Rogue genuinely special as a value play. You're getting a practical, comfortable, feature-rich crossover that will handle family duties, road trips, and daily commuting without complaint for thousands less than the competition. The depreciation curve has already happened. You're buying at the bottom of the value trough, which means your dollar goes further and you lose less money over ownership. Is the Rogue perfect? Absolutely not. No car is. But is it the unreliable disaster that internet warriors claim? Not even close, especially if you buy smart and maintain it properly. The gap between perception and reality has created a market inefficiency, and market inefficiencies create opportunities for people who do their research and think independently. While everyone else is paying a premium for vehicles based on reputation rather than actual current value, you'll be driving something equally capable for substantially less money. That's not settling, that's strategy. And speaking of strategy, we've saved the absolute wild card for last. Our number one pick is a car so unexpected, so completely left field that when I tell you what it is, half of you will think I'm joking. But the numbers don't lie, and neither does the market trend that's developing around this automotive unicorn.
All right, we've reached the crown jewel, the number one car on this list, and I promise you this is not what you're expecting. Forget everything you think you know about smart investments in the used car market, because what I'm about to reveal is so good, so absurdly undervalued right now, that in 5 years, you'll be kicking yourself if you don't at least investigate it. We're talking about the 2007 Lexus ES300. And before you roll your eyes thinking that's just an old person's car, let me show you why this nearly 20-year-old luxury sedan is about to become the smartest money you've ever spent on wheels. This is the car your grandma bought new, drove to church on Sundays, and traded in with 40,000 miles, thinking she was done with it. And that grandma just handed you a gold mine wrapped in beige leather. The 2007 ES300 represents the absolute peak of Toyota's obsession with build quality before they decided that boring reliability wasn't sexy enough. This is a time capsule of engineering excellence, and the market has completely forgotten it exists. The ES300 is what happens when Lexus engineers get together and ask themselves, what if we built a Camry, but instead of building it to last 20 years, we built it to outlive empires? It's automotive immortality disguised as a dentist's daily driver, and that disguise is exactly what makes it brilliant. Let's talk about what you're actually getting here. Under that elegant but understated body sits Toyota's legendary 3.3-liter V6, the 3MZ FE, producing 215 horsepower and 218 pound-feet of torque. This isn't some cutting-edge, turbocharged complexity waiting to grenade itself. This is a naturally aspirated masterpiece that represents decades of refinement. This exact engine architecture has powered everything from luxury sedans to minivans, accumulating literally millions of miles across the fleet with failure rates so low they're practically statistically irrelevant. The transmission is a 5-speed automatic that's smooth as silk and engineered with the same obsessive attention to detail that Lexus brings to everything. No CVT nonsense, no dual-clutch fragility, just a conventional, proven automatic transmission with proper fluid changes will run for 3, 4, even 500,000 miles without major intervention. I'm not exaggerating. There are documented ES models with over 500,000 miles still running on original drivetrains. Now here's where this gets absolutely insane from an investment perspective. You can buy a clean, well-maintained 2007 ES300 right now for anywhere between $6,000 and $12,000, depending on mileage and condition. For that money, you're getting a vehicle that was $40,000 new, equipped with features that modern cars charge extra for, wrapped in build quality that simply doesn't exist anymore at any price point. We're talking about Mark Levinson premium audio systems that sound better than most home theater setups. Real wood trim, not the fake plastic garbage modern cars pass off as premium. Leather seats that are genuinely comfortable for 8-hour drives, not the rock-hard sports seats that manufacturers pretend are supportive. Climate control that works so precisely you'll forget it's there. This is luxury defined by comfort and quality, not by how many screens you can cram into a dashboard.
The brilliant thing is that these cars depreciated like rocks for the first 15 years, which scared everyone away. But we've now hit the bottom of that depreciation curve, and something magical is happening. Clean, low-mileage examples are starting to appreciate. Enthusiasts are realizing that you can't buy this level of quality new anymore, at any price point. The market is slowly waking up to the fact that these represent the end of an era, the last of the truly over-engineered luxury sedans before cost-cutting became the norm. But here's where knowledge becomes power, because while these cars are incredibly reliable, they're not invincible, and buying smart means knowing exactly what to look for. First, and most important, verify the maintenance history thoroughly. These cars thrive on regular maintenance and suffer from neglect more than most because of their complexity. You want to see oil changes every 5,000 miles like clockwork. You want proof of transmission fluid services, differential fluid changes, and coolant system maintenance. The timing belt is absolutely crucial on this engine. It's an interference design, meaning if that belt snaps, you're looking at catastrophic engine damage. The replacement interval is 90,000 miles or 6 years, whichever comes first. If you're looking at a car with over 90,000 miles and no documented timing belt service, either negotiate the price down by $1,500 or walk away. Also, the water pump should be replaced at the same time as the timing belt. If someone did the belt but not the water pump, they cut corners, and that's a red flag about overall care. Check for oil leaks around the valve covers and the oil pan. These are common on higher mileage examples, but not serious if caught early. However, if you see oil leaking from the rear main seal, that's a much bigger job, requiring transmission removal. Also inspect for any coolant leaks, particularly around the radiator and hoses. Lexus uses high-quality hoses, but they're nearly 20 years old now, and rubber doesn't last forever. The suspension on the ES is beautifully engineered for comfort, but requires inspection. Check for any leaking struts by looking for oil streaks on the strut bodies. Bounce each corner of the car, and it should settle immediately without continued bouncing. Listen for any clunking or rattling over bumps, which indicates worn bushings or ball joints. The steering should be light but precise, with no play or looseness. Test every single electronic feature meticulously: the navigation system, the premium audio, the power seats with memory functions, the automatic climate control, everything. These systems are generally reliable, but when they fail, parts can be expensive and sometimes difficult to source. Make sure the LCD screens don't have any pixel issues or dimming. Check that all the speakers work by testing audio from every source. Inspect the brake system carefully. These are heavy luxury sedans, and they eat brakes faster than lighter cars. Check the rotor thickness and look for any scoring or pulsation. The calipers can seize if the car has been sitting for extended periods, so during the test drive, make sure the braking is smooth and even, with no pulling to either side. Examine the interior for any signs of water damage. Check under the floor mats and in the trunk for dampness or water stains. Sunroof drains can clog and cause leaks that lead to mold and electrical issues. Smell the interior carefully. Any musty odors mean water intrusion somewhere. Also check that the leather isn't excessively worn or cracked. Quality leather should age gracefully, and excessive wear might indicate harder use than the odometer suggests. One last thing that's absolutely non-negotiable: get a pre-purchase inspection from a Lexus or Toyota specialist. These cars have specific quirks and common issues that a general mechanic might miss. Spending $150 to $200 for a thorough inspection can save you thousands in future headaches. Any seller who refuses an inspection is hiding something. Here's the truth that the market hasn't fully realized yet. The 2007 Lexus ES300 represents the last generation of vehicles built to a standard that we'll never see again. This was before manufacturers realized they could save 50 cents per unit by using cheaper materials, before planned obsolescence became the industry standard, before everything became a subscription service and over-the-air updates. This car was engineered by people who took genuine pride in creating something that would last. You can feel it in every control, hear it in how quietly the doors close, see it in the precision of the panel gaps. This is craftsmanship, not just manufacturing. In 10 years, when electric vehicles dominate and the internal combustion engine becomes a relic, people will look back at cars like the ES300 and realize what we lost in the pursuit of technology and efficiency. The smooth, refined V6, the hydraulic steering with actual feedback, the simplicity of turning a key and hearing an engine come to life. These experiences are becoming historical artifacts, and this car preserves them in their finest form. You're buying more than transportation. You're buying a piece of automotive history when quality mattered more than quarterly earnings reports. You're buying reliability so proven that it's boring. You're buying luxury without pretension, and you're doing it for less money than a decent used pickup truck. The 2007 Lexus ES300 isn't flashy. It won't make your neighbors jealous. It won't win you internet points on car forums. But it will start every single morning, transport you in absolute comfort, cost you almost nothing to maintain if you're smart about it. And in 5 years, when you decide to sell it, you'll probably get back exactly what you paid for it, if not more. That's not just a good investment, that's a unicorn. And right now, while everyone's chasing the latest crossover or overpaying for tired German luxury, these unicorns are standing in used car lots, virtually invisible, waiting for someone smart enough to recognize what they really are.
So there you have it, 5 cars that the market has completely misjudged. 5 opportunities to buy smart while everyone else buys popular. If this video opened your eyes to possibilities you hadn't considered, do me a favor, smash that like button because it tells the algorithm that we're on to something here. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into automotive value plays that the mainstream channels won't touch. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 5 cars surprised you the most. Or better yet, if you already own one of these and I just validated your genius, let everyone know in the comments. Share your experiences, your mileage, your stories, because that real-world data is gold for people watching who are on the fence about buying. And if you think I'm completely wrong about any of these picks, tell me why in the comments. I love a good debate, and who knows, maybe you'll teach me something I didn't know. That's what this community is all about. Sharing knowledge, challenging assumptions, and helping each other make smarter decisions in a market that's designed to separate you from your money. I'll see you in the next video, where we're going to dive even deeper into the overlooked, the undervalued, and the misunderstood. Until then, stay smart, stay skeptical, and remember, the best investment is always the one that nobody else sees coming. Now get out there and find your hidden gem.